evening to you. Very welcome along. It's Friday night. Ger Gilroy here with you all the way through until 10. Also with us in studio are Ronan Mullen. Good evening, Ronan.
Hi, Ger.
Michael McCarthy. Mick, how are you?
Hello, folks.
We have lots to talk about. It's been a fairly crazy week of football. Ireland are going to the World Cup, right? We're saying it now before we know the result on Tuesday and who we get in the playoffs. Doesn't matter. We're going to the World Cup. We have an unstoppable ball of momentum behind us. Not a great performance last night, but that's the sign of a good team, right?
It's far too convoluted to have this type of optimism. The optimism is for the night itself and the achievement of getting further than they've ever got before, and the emotion that the players had last night, and the manager, of course, as well, which was amazing, incredible. Doesn't take anything away from it to not be massively confident.
Balloon puncture McCarthy here, yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think it should be. I think it should be an achievement that stands on its own legs, but now there's more to do.
Got to take each achievement on its merits there. Is that what you're saying?
This is my usual 7:04 being bullied session here, you know.
Okay.
On a Friday night.
But when games are for winning, it's important to actually win them. And Ireland, it's not unique to football either. We found ourselves coming short in those do or die situations. I know there was a bit of
our history.
Reprieve coming.
We're tiny.
Yeah. But on the other side of that coin, I thought both Emma Byrne and Kathleen McNamee kind of struck the right note this morning with how they framed the thing. We can, on one hand, commend the achievement and still say we played within ourselves a bit last night, and that conservatism is possibly not going to bear fruit when you get to the business end here and need to produce stellar performances to get to the World Cup.
I do feel like we played with a lot of fear last night in a way that the momentous nature of the occasion seemed to have an impact, particularly in the first half. With first half an hour, we were clearly the inferior team, and then we started to create more chances, and then we got a bit more confidence, and then everybody improved as a result of that. I
think so too. I think the fear in some ways is justifiable as well. I was going to say understandable, certainly.
Totally, yeah.
Because there was a sense last night that it was more about if they didn't do it than if they did. The knives were out in some ways. You know, it was a momentous occasion that everybody was ready for, but in a sign of how far this team and indeed even the sport has come, I think there was a sense that last night if that didn't happen, then it was going to be an issue. You know, we were going to have to talk about an underachieving football team here now, you know, but they went and got the job done, probably, you know, not in the prettiest way, I would say, but I thought, I said last night, Ger, to your point, once they did settle in that game and then get the goal, I actually thought up until maybe 85 minutes when the fear starts coming back in again, Ireland got comfortable then.
We did, and we should have had
seconds.
And I
think they actually had a good half an hour there.
Yeah.
That'll be the most pleasing part, actually.
Well, and I actually think that's the potential for the team as well. So, you know, that's the bit that gives me the confidence to say.
Yeah.
The other thing that people, I think, probably always forget is the Euro 88 team and the team in Italia 90, they scraped through the Euro 88 qualifiers. They were absolutely rubbish in loads of those games. And then they started to play some good football as time went on. That was a team laden with world-class players, you know?
Yeah.
But they were chiselling away decades of underachievement, of dodgy refereeing, of bad own goals, and the women's team have done exactly the same thing. So they just need that breakthrough. They just need to be able to go to a World Cup. And look, the convoluted nature of the playoffs means that we've got to play other really good European teams first. That was the other bit that Kathleen was explaining to us the other day. I actually had thought incorrectly that it's grand, we're going to be playing CONCACAF next, or some of the African teams, and we'll hammer them. But apparently not. We have a bit to go before we get there, which is why the Slovakia game is actually massive.
The Slovakia game, Nathan actually put it up on his Twitter, there has to be a series of results to happen over the next week or so for Ireland to get into that top pot, which means they only have one game to play.
It's unlikely at this stage.
But whatever it is, whatever run of results were needed, Ireland beating Slovakia is one of them for certain.
Yeah.
You know, so they have to go and win that game on Tuesday to give them a chance, because it's not only just playing one game, but it's playing against a team who've had to just play another game a couple of days before to get through to that. You're kind of sitting there waiting for it. You know, look, winning 2 playoff games is not going to be an easy achievement.
No, it's not. But you would back this team to use this, and the fact that so many of them are now playing more first team football than they were when the campaign started. Yeah. More of them are getting more game time. You know, just everything is improving quickly. So The one thing, obviously, the tickets sold out really quickly, but there was definitely empty seats on the telly.
Oh, there was.
It
felt like half empty almost.
We do need to talk about this, because whatever is happening, whatever the little glitch in the system, wherever those tickets are going, there was some suggestion that they might have been held back for schools and closed, and that the schools aren't back, and so therefore it was difficult to distribute them. But whatever is happening to prevent those tickets from being resold, that needs to get fixed quickly, because it would be full. The tickets sold, they went instantly. People were asking for us for tickets in a way that suggests we could easily fill that stadium.
Yeah.
If anecdotally I could name you 5, maybe even 10 people who said that they didn't bother trying to get tickets because it was sold out.
Yeah.
If that's just me, how many actually tickets could we have sold for this game?
That is it.
And it's we've been saying on air for weeks that it's been sold out. So people didn't have the incentive to go and look for tickets for this because they didn't think they could go.
And this is the thing, it's an enticing tagline for those affiliated with the team to say it's a sellout weeks in advance, and that's the anticipation which is allied with this game. But the upshot of that, as you've alluded to there, is dissuading people keen matchgoers or would-be matchgoers from even seeking out tickets. So it is something to look at, and you want to strike that balance of having the next generation of players present, because they will be the lifeblood of the game thereafter, but those who want to attend the sporting event on its merits as well can't be just precluded from going either.
No. So, look, whatever the issue is, whoever needs to just nip that in the bud and make sure that that doesn't happen again. Because it had happened before, and we brought it up last week, and people were like, oh, that's not going to happen this time. But it did happen before, and it's going to happen again. So you just need to get into whatever the issue is and whatever preventing it. Because, if you have access to that ticket, you could at least resell it. And for once, I'd be all about reselling it. Get your face value at least, and away we go. Right, the other thing that happened, obviously, you guys were on last night talking about the end of the transfer window. Something about Juventus having about 6 million midfielders. They've sold some to Spurs, they've sold some to loaned to Chelsea.
Yeah.
Rabiot was supposed to go to Man United.
Practically driving Rabiot to the airport, yeah.
And now he's back in the team. And now Liverpool as well. It's what's going on? How did that happen? How do they have so many surf-feet, good quality central midfielders?
And this is with Paul Pogba on injured reserve for the next few weeks, months. So, yeah, a bit of a glut of players. And the Arthur, his career is quite interesting. He's still only in his mid-20s, but was involved in a deal with Pjanic, who ended up going to Barcelona, and a swap deal which didn't really suit anybody, as it turned out. And
was that one of those money carousel things, football fair play, create value, essentially procedures?
But Arthur he's not your typical Brazilian midfielder, but big engine, and which is why it seemed odd that Barcelona were keen to get rid of him and bring in another, cumbersome ball player like Miralem Pjanic, who, needless to say, isn't getting near their first team at the moment. So I think he can bring a lot to the Liverpool team. He fits the profile of what's required, and they have an option to buy in that deal. So unlike the Saul Niguez deal, which is comparable when he went into Chelsea to fill a gap last year.
I forgot about that.
That for sure just seemed like firefighting, and there's no future in it. But you've seen what Klopp has done with the likes of Gini Wijnaldum, who was an off-Broadway kind of player at Newcastle, and he made him the fulcrum of his midfield. So there's nothing to say he can't do similar with Arthur. And the stakes are low, as we alluded to last night, when all of Sundry was calling for him to sign a new centre-back when Van Dijk was injured and everyone else was injured. He didn't. He got a couple of loans in and got Konate, and that was the deal he wanted.
Yeah.
And similarly, if Jude Bellingham or Declan Rice are available next summer, let's not clog up the midfield too much. Let's save some space for them.
Yeah, okay. The other one was Dennis Zakaria, I think.
Yeah, that's about as far as I can go.
It's they obviously had a load of midfielders that they just needed to get rid of.
But look, maybe that's just bad squad building, but Juventus didn't exactly have the most successful season of their history last year, and they've started off slowly again in Serie A. They're not the team they were, and if they're stockpiling midfielders and then buying Paul Pogba, you either say, is it just a commercial entity now and they're not thinking the team building, or are all these guys not that good? And they don't know who they want, and they don't know who's the players to fit in their team.
All of these are probably it's a little bit from column A, B, C and D, is
exactly,
it?
Yeah, I think so. Well, it would just be my concern for someone like Zakaria or even Arthur. We don't know. I think I do agree with you, Ronan, that Klopp can probably mould him. We know that the talent is there. We've seen him before, but again, Juventus are just like, look, work away. We'll sell 4 or 5 midfielders on transfer deadline day, and we'll still have plenty of big enough squads to deal with it.
Crucially, Douglas Luiz stays.
Yeah,
he stays.
Crucially for who?
The corner kick scoring wonder.
I mean, it's the only goals that Villa can score.
Villa's only tactic. Yeah, direct from goal, direct from corners.
I did think that maybe that was a foul on the keeper the other night. Do you think the bit where both your hands are on the back of the goalkeeper's jersey? It's like, I've seen them give him, Mick.
Yeah, you've seen them give him wrongly, I would say. But I'm not in any way defending anything Aston Villa have done over the last month. But Aaron Ramsdale flapping away, not being able to sort of stand up for himself, is not one where I will.
Aaron Ramsdale flapping away is fairly good synopsis of his career to date, I would say.
I think Aaron Ramsdale's doing fine for Arsenal at the moment. Top of the table, 5 wins out of 5. Everybody's happy with that.
There we go.
253 million is the official fee that Transfer Market tells me that Chelsea have spent in this window. That's a lot of cash. Does it look like there's a plan behind their signing of 18-year-old starlet Karnit Chukwuemeka and 33-year-old broken jaw Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang? Is there a consistency of...
to add to Koulibaly, and I don't know, we were talking about Todd Bowley being a football manager style owner there already, and it certainly seems like that. And also you'd wonder, is this a team being built by a manager who might not be there in the future? I don't know. Am I being a little bit early in the whole Tuchel could be in trouble?
I don't know. I think the thing is that, and I don't know if it was here or on AM during the week, that owner has bought the club, and that manager won the Champions League for the previous owner. So he's never won the Champions League for this owner. And it's like, what have you done for me lately? Well, it's a clean slate. Everybody, when we get into the club, it's a clean slate for everybody, including the manager, unfortunately. Now, I do think Thomas Tuchel's a very good manager, going through a bit of a difficult time at the moment. Stick Fofana in the team, and maybe all those defensive woes are over. Stick the defensive midfielder in the team. Maybe they're back to being contenders.
Yeah, I don't think Tuchel is the problem. I think a lot of it's to do with, you get the feeling that the new Chelsea ownership is still going to be a Chelsea owner, and it's not going to take much for
like all the other
relationship to come to an end with a with crushing finality very, very quickly, as they tend to do at that club.
The other thing that we should mention, we'll play a little bit from a discussion they had on this morning's show, is that the Roscommon referees have announced that they're going on strike this weekend in response to the incident that happened during a minor match during the week. And I do think that it's exactly the right thing to do. In a way, it feels like if all of the country's referees went on strike, we might have a national conversation about abuse in the sidelines, because what's going to happen, and it's probably been on the various shows right across all of the media for the last 24 hours, and it's on the front page of the tabloids this morning, is that there'll be a quick conversation and then it'll disappear again, and nothing's really going to happen. It's still going to be acceptable for people to hurl abuse at referees in person. It's still going to be acceptable for, I saw somebody recently tweeting give respect, get respect, and I know that they'd been sent off for shouting at a referee recently at a kids game. There's this kind of quantum leap in their brains where it's like, oh, that's not me, that's somebody else. That's not me, that's somebody else. Even though, give respect, get respect. That's a token. And then I tweeted, maybe I put a ribbon on. Oh, give respect, get respect. We all stand with the referees, but we don't. People don't. You hear it all the time.
Yeah, well, the duplicity of people's lives online, and the Be Kind movement and so on and so forth, I don't think is anything new, but it feels like something has to give with referees in general. And even on a much less serious note, there's been a lot of talk about it in England this year of how bad the standard of refereeing is, and a lot of people will tell you it comes from the fact that the best people for the job do not want that job anymore and do not want to go into professional refereeing and so on. So Look, I don't know. I think
like Mara Stegan was making that point, I think, independent of the Roscommon incident.
It was before that, yeah.
Yeah, that like chatting to the next generation of referees, and there's just like almost page one of their concerns is the abuse, and like it's something that's evident from junior games right all the way up to the top level. And I don't know, like, is it a strictly GA thing? I know it happens at junior soccer games as well, but there is that community sense within the GA of entitlement to like one in, all in. This is part of our fabric. We can say what we want. It's our right to invade the pitch or like come on and confront whomever, and that doesn't exist elsewhere, as far as I can tell, in other sports in Ireland. So we're going to have to draw a line at some stage, and this is a fairly significant step that Roscommon are taking. But if everyone else doesn't rally in behind them, it'll dissipate, and it won't be a story come Monday.
I also do feel a lot of people will see what happened this week, and there's a lot of right-minded people who might go, Jesus, is this like, I wouldn't do that, but, and maybe even if it just encourages some people to tell people to shut up on a sideline. You know, I don't know.
Telling somebody to shut up on a sideline is dangerous.
Telling
do you know what
someone
I mean?
who's attacking the referee and so on.
But so you're asking them to intervene.
Someone you know, though. You know, like that's what I'm saying. It's like,
difficult.
no, I know people can stand up to their friends. Like, that's a different thing, you know?
Well, but you don't have to be the friend. Like, so is it only your friend? So do you know what I mean?
No, I'm not. But I'm saying in terms of like it being dangerous and putting yourself out there, it's like, you know the Egypt friend of yours who's going too far. It's like it is incumbent, I think, on that people, like other people in the club and people that you know, to kind of like calm that crap down as well, you know?
Certainly that would help. However, some people are concerned about being on the end of the violence themselves, you know?
And there are degrees to it as well, like with anything, where there's a difference between this incident and a referee gives a free against you and you're like, oh geez, you know, I can't believe that, you know, it's clearly a free to us. Like, to vent that frustration, I think was perfectly fine by those on the pitch and those observing. But yeah, the escalation which seems to happen
it's on a spectrum,
too frequently, it's crazy.
That is all on a spectrum, and I think maybe that's the bit where we actually need to have those conversations about, like, so I thought the miking of the referee was a quantum leap forward. I think it's a really good idea. TG Carr did it, and then it got stopped. It has not happened since. Have you noticed that?
No, there was the GA said
dictate.
This is not something that has been agreed with us and shouldn't happen anymore. So,
but what would happen if we started miking the referees? We would hear the abuse that they suffer, and it would help to stop it. It would help if everybody heard it.
That was a fascinating case study, because whether consciously or otherwise, it seemed to be tame enough language coming the referee's way. So whether the players were briefed or otherwise, it was. They seem keenly aware not to be too overzealous, and I think that as a starting point would be a good move.
All right, 53106 the text number if you want to get in touch with us this evening. We will leave that discussion there for now.